If you take a look along the edge of my field, you'll see that the edge is a very severe cut-off between grassland here and the hedge, which cuts off really sharply like that. The reason for that is when it was being managed, you can see this mushroom down here. Let me just show you this mushroom. It's amazing. The size of my hand, the size of that mushroom. Anyway, when this field was originally being managed, it was mown regularly, and when it was mown, all of the little blackthorn saplings, the little shoots which came out from the hedgerow, like this one here, they were being chopped off right at the base, which meant that they didn't have an opportunity to grow up. They weren't growing up in like a fashion like this from the hedgerow, like the smaller ones at the edge, and getting taller and taller as you get towards the hedgerow. They were instead growing up and getting chopped off, which meant that you had this really sharp wall effect. And this kind of wall effect is what you often see in the countryside. It's not very good for biodiversity because gradients, sort of climbs, they're really beneficial for biodiversity because they create this kind of gentle slope which transitions slowly from one habitat to another. And in that slope, sorry, daddy long hairs, in that slope you get lots of different plants and lots of different little niches where you can have different species inhabiting it. So what I've been doing over the winter, not in the summer because you don't want to break up the hedgerow in the summer, what I've been doing over the winter is starting to try my hand at laying these hedges, which is essentially chopping a bit of hedge like this here. I don't know if you can see this. Chopping the hedge in, chopping one of the branches in half, and then letting the other bit go up so that this branch here is still live, and it's still producing shoots. You see, this one's hawthorn, and you can still, I don't know if I can get that, you can still see the shoots on it. So these shoots are coming up all the way. This one's blackthorn here, it's been laid as well, and these shoots will grow up, straight up in a like this, and they'll reform a really dense hedgerow exactly where that branch has been cut down. And you can see in amongst this area where I've chopped back, I've actually gone a bit further back than that. I've chopped back into some of these ones and chopped them back completely, and these ones are resprouting from the base. And there's immediate benefits to the biodiversity here even before the hedgerow starts to regrow, because if you walk in here, I don't know if you can see it, I can certainly hear it, there's this drone of mosquitoes. Kind of it's not the most pleasant place to be. I don't know if you can see them. There's just hundreds of mosquitoes flying around. Unlike anywhere else in the field, I'm just completely surrounded by mosquitoes here. And it's the same in another patch up there where it's literally, there's so many mosquitoes that it's loud. The drone from the mosquitoes is incredibly loud. See if I can get up there and have a look. And the reason for that is that there's a ditch, there's water down there, there's standing water, stagnant water, where the mosquito larvae are growing up, and they're flying into that little sort of dank shady patch, and they're hovering around in there because it's a very sheltered area. It's perfect for them to fly in. Now, why do I want mosquitoes in my field, you might ask? Because why on earth would anyone want mosquitoes on their land, especially if I camp here, which is something which I do? Well, mosquitoes are perfect food for many different things, from birds like the chiff-chaff, which you might have just been able to hear calling over the loud sound of my own voice. And here you go, can you hear that? Yeah, that's the chiff-chaff. And bats as well. We get lots of bats on the field, bats flying over. So they're perfect for providing a food source. So I'm in the other bit of the hedge now, which I've chopped back. Don't know if you can hear this. Walking into a cloud of mosquitoes. Ooh, landing on me as well. yeah, you can just about, well, I can just about hear them. They're just incredibly loud. So there's another section which I've chopped back, and it's already growing back from where it was laid. The important thing when you're laying a hedge, which I learned from my sister, who's she's a conservationist, she said that the important thing with laying hedges is that you always must lay the hedge so that the branches slightly tilting upwards, because then the sap will flow up, and the sap always wants to flow up. And if the sap flows up, then the leaves will keep coming back the following year, and then you'll get this lovely hedge bursting back again. And James Rebanks, who wrote English Pastoral, which is a really good book about the kind of intersection of biodiversity and farming, he writes about how dense laid hedges are, and how that's perfect nesting habitat for birds as well. So once these hedges come back, it's not just that they create this more interesting structural diversity within the field, but they also create these really dense hedges which are much better for birds to nest in. Whereas at the moment, these hedges, because they haven't been managed properly in years, they're essentially really floppy. The blackthorn isn't really not designed, but it hasn't really evolved to grow in this way, where it's been chopped away at the base over years and years and years. So the base is becoming exposed, which means it flops over. So by chopping it away like this, we're getting it to come back much thicker. The hawthorn will come back thicker as well, and that will be beneficial for biodiversity. So that's why you might be surprised to learn I've been hacking back at my lovely thick hedges in my field, which otherwise are fantastic for biodiversity because they support all range of nesting birds and insects and everything else. Grass snakes even. There's a lot of grass snakes which we find along the verges here because there's drainage ditches. So yeah, that's why the kind of rural skills which we're increasingly losing from our countryside are actually really important in maintaining the land. We've been living in the UK for, humans continuously for 12,000 years now. So there are a lot of things which we do as humans which are really important for maintaining a healthy habitat, and hedge laying is just one thing which we can do which can actually benefit biodiversity. If you'd like to find out more about biodiversity and about things you can do to improve it on your land, then have a look at howtorewild.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Sun's just about to set. I'll see you next week.